Hi folks, tonight I'm going to be doing a further revelation of my interactions with aiazmir and Maha. After I'd met Maha, one of the things that he did was to teach me about the wave fields. But he didn't teach me about the wave fields per se, in a sense that he just showed me the wave fields. And because he talked a lot about the wave fields, I kept asking questions. Well, what do they look like? What are the wave fields? Where are they? How do they exist? And he was, of course, talking about the wave fields of light and sound. And there are different kinds of waves, and have different shapes and velocities and amplitudes and frequencies. And I tried to understand all of that and try to figure it out for myself. So I did my own research, and sure enough, I found about the unified field. I read the book, The Field. And so I started to study and try to understand what the field was all about. And then after 3 months, he told me that he was going to take me to meet someone. He didn't tell me who, but he said in order to get there, he had taught me about the multi-dimensional structure of the universe, that we live in a 15-dimensional structure of the universe. The first 9 dimensions are the dimensions of physicality, and the 10, 11, and 12 dimensions of pure are liquid light, and the dimensions of 13 to 15 were pure sound and light. And, he taught me a lot of things, which I didn't really understand at the time, so I had to go do my own research and find out, because he talked about superluminal light. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I had to go and understand what superluminal light was. But the important thing was he taught me about the wave fields. And then before he took me to on this journey where I would meet aiazmir, he told me that I would have to get my soul body and my consciousness stacked up to a higher frequency to be able to go into another dimensional field. So in a sense, he was preparing me for an ascension-like experience where you go into other dimensions. And what he did, he taught me a lot. He gave me exercises to do every single day. And he said, now you must do this 3 times a day. And it involved breathing, visualizing, chanting, and even spinning my body. Because we live in a Merkaba field, that's part of the structure of the soul. And the Merkabas create a toroidal field that is the soul body. So I obediently did all these exercises as he had instructed me. And during that period of time, I began to experience a very high level of consciousness, to such an extent that one night I came home and I blew the light bulbs when I came home, because my electromagnetic fields in my soul body were so high that it was interfering with the electricity, and also during that time I blew a computer, I blew my motor on my motor car wouldn't start, because I'd get into the motor vehicles, turn it on, try to switch it on, wouldn't start, and someone else would get in and would start. They would start the motor vehicle for me. So I experienced a very high level of vibration in my field, and it was quite scary because I had a sense of not of floating, but of not being part of this reality anymore. So when I was ready, and he knew when I was ready because of my vibration and the way I was speaking, the way I was expressing myself. So he said, well, yeah, it looks like you're ready to go. So he took me on this journey to go meet my higher self, aiazmir. He didn't tell me that, but I just arrived in this space, which was in a field of mist. And I've documented this in other videos, so I won't go into the detail, but gradually the mist disappeared, and I was presented with this 10 to 12 foot tall being who had a blue body and blue feathers on his body, and you know, as the mist began to appear, I realized, wow, this is quite an amazing thing, you know, that I was having this experience. I wasn't sure if I was awake or dreaming, because it was so real. I couldn't tell the difference between whether I was awake or whether I was asleep. Then my higher self sat me down for a while. Well, he sat down and I sat down next to him. Aiazmir said to me, I want to explain what's happening. And then he told me that I was in another dimension, in another harmonic universe, another bandwidth of frequency, which is unsimilar to the frequency we have on Earth. And he congratulated me for doing the work that I've done to raise my own frequency to actually get there. And navigating the universe can be quite difficult and can be quite a scary thing, you know, if you don't know what you're doing. So I don't advise people just go out and try this on your own, because, you know, you really need someone else to help you, guide you through that experience. So we sat down and we chatted for a while. And that's the point of this video, because I said to him, where am I? Because I didn't understand where I was. And he explained I was in another dimensional field, and that this field of reality was occupied by the beings of SiriusB. So I thought, wow, that's great. I know where I am. I'm in SiriusB. I know Sirius, the star, and so that's where I am. And he said, no. Sirius, the star, is part of your hologram. You create that hologram, and you create the stars and the sun and everything you experience in your hologram. You're not in that star. You create that star because of the connection that you have with SiriusB. And I said, yeah, but everybody can see this connection with SiriusB. Everybody, you know, lots of people can, astrologers and astronomers can look at the skies and, you know, see the morning star, the blue star, has different names, and everybody can see it. But it's because of the strong connection we have with SiriusB. It's in our consciousness. It's in our soul bodies. It's encoded there. Because the codes were put there by the beings from SiriusB. Because the beings from SiriusB were the genetic masters who basically genetically modified humans into human form. A long time ago, about 430,000 years ago. And that created the human form, and they were part of the third seeding of this planet, where beings from all over the universe contributed their DNA to the seeding here on the planet. So all those stars we see out there are just because we create them in our consciousness. And as we were talking, the mist started to subside, and I began to see beyond the mist that was around us. And I said, I can see the mist is moving away, it's clearing. And he said, no, you are clearing that mist, because you are beginning to understand. You're less afraid. You have more clarity of thinking, more clarity of heart. And so you are creating the mist, making the mist disappear, because when you arrived here, the mist that was there was what you had created because of the fogginess in your mind, the mist in your mind. So he said to me, be very careful of what you think and feel here, because what you think and feel will immediately manifest in your experience, in your reality. So I said, well, how do I do that? And he said, well, go into neutrality. And I said, what does that mean? And he said, go into your space of not feeling anything. Just feel love and kindness and positive things, because that's what you will manifest. Don't be afraid of anyone. Don't be afraid of anything. Clear your mind of all human fear. Clear your mind and your heart of all guilt, shame, anything like that. Don't allow it to permeate into your body, into your mind, into your thoughts, into your heart, into your soul body. And I said to him, well, does everyone here live like that? And he said, pretty much so, because we create our reality here. And we agree with each other what reality we want to experience. And so we create that. Not by doing anything, but simply by the way we think and feel. And because we are souls on a soul journey, on an evolutionary soul journey, we have the ability to do that now because we've evolved our souls to that extent, and we've had all those experiences, millions of years of experiences of soul evolution. And so, that's kind of the message that I wanted to bring across tonight is just to learn that we create our own reality. It's called a hologram. And beings have a hologram experience to refine their souls, because they're actually just waves of energy that become manifest as physical reality. And I explain that in my courses on the mechanics of creation. So knowing this stuff is quite important, so that you can learn to interact with other beings from other dimensions without disturbing your own reality field. But it requires you to raise your own frequencies high enough to be able to do that, and to be able to stay in a place of neutrality when you need to. Sometimes it's good to express love and kindness and joy and so on, but sometimes it's good just to be neutral. So that's the state I was in when I was in SiriusB. I just stayed neutral, and I just observed what was happening rather than judging it. I had no opinion about it. I just said, this is an amazing experience, so I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. And that's what I did.